Good evening, everybody. I think it's evening just about everywhere. It's late afternoon here, but we're going into evening. All right, so cracking up. And here I am once again with my longest standing and closest friend, my lovely Kay.
Hello.
Hi, say hi to everybody.
Hi, everyone.
Of course, we have Grey Eagle here as usual, standing to my right side. So if we get stuck, if we need help with anything, he'll be around to help us. I do have to say before we start, Kay, you are a little in the dark. The lighting isn't great. No, that's fine. The lighting isn't great. But if anybody can see whatever side it is, Kay's left side, nasty bruising, really quite black bruising, and that's with makeup on, isn't it? You put makeup on to cover
Yeah,
it.
that's lathered with makeup. Yeah.
Do you want to tell us what happened?
I didn't
Which is
listen.
which pertains actually to the subject of this
Yeah.
chat.
Yeah, it does. Yes. I didn't listen. I didn't listen to my little inner voice telling me not to wear certain shoes, and vanity won out. And I wore my new trainers, thick rubber soles. No idea where I was
Trainers
walking.
in America are like sneakers, but yeah, go on.
Okay. Well, I didn't sneak. I flew. and I just caught my feet on some concrete path, landed very heavily on my cheek and eye.
Face, and so
Yes,
the
yeah.
eye and black. You have a black eye, and
That was a week ago.
really, that's good bruising.
Yes, it is. It's all just dropped beautifully.
Yeah.
It was like a big eggplant last Thursday.
So you've had a week and still bruising, but anyway.
Yeah, good though, good.
Although we're sorry for what happened to you, and it wasn't very pleasant, it is a great segue into the subject that we're going to talk about today, which is, and of course, anybody listening, go into the chat room because you can make comments, you can ask questions, and we can also, if you want to change the subject, it depends. Whether I let you change it or not. But this is a good subject because we talk about all the time. I certainly, in my role as a spiritual medium and a healer, I talk to people about the fact that those in the spirit world guide us, they steer us, they help us in our daily lives. And the question is, and how do they do that? How can they do that? And is it real? Or because for so many of us, nasty things happen. For instance, Kay with her nasty accident. So, excuse me, I've got the fan on and it's causing issues here. So the thing is, how do the spirit world connect with us, and how can they guide us, and how can they steer us? But before we go into that, first of all, let's say hi to Chris, who is manning the chat room and all of this that's going on, facilitating all of this. Chris, is there anybody there?
There are people here in the chat room, and they're already giving condolences to you, Kay.
I know, isn't that nice? Thank you, Judith.
Right. Well, but you're over it, really, aren't you?
Oh, yeah.
A week ago, and you're done with it, right?
Yeah.
You're over it. It's all right. So I think, Kay, you said, if I get this wrong, correct me. But you said that you heard, when I say heard a voice, or you had a thought in your head, or however it came to you, as you were putting on your shoes, or just prior to putting on your shoes, you had this feeling or this thought in your head, these, because they were brand new, I think, and you weren't used to them.
Yeah.
and you had this thought, which, you know,
Not good. I
not
felt not good today. Won't wear those. Oh yes, I will. I like them. That was
right.
it.
So you had this thought that you shouldn't be wearing these shoes, right?
Yeah.
And then you ignored that thought
Yeah.
and then went,
Head over.
I almost said,
Yes.
say in England, which is, let me say it because it's a very British saying, you almost, and it is a British show, we're doing a cracking up. So you went arse over tits.
Oh, yes, I did.
It's what
I
we would
was going to
say.
say that.
Very, very British thing.
Arse over tit.
We went arse over tit, fell on your face. With, you know, people think that we're such a gentle and you know,
No.
very, very
No,
prim race of
no.
people, but we can say things like that, and but we don't say it with any malice or anything. It's just a funny thing for us to say, and you know, so this is what happened to you because you basically ignored that thought that went through your mind, and you thought, no, I'm going to do what I want to do. Would that be about right?
Yeah, that's absolutely right.
And then you did exactly what you wanted to do, and then those
Bad
shoes,
idea.
those shoes tripped you up, would you say?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so let's just talk for a minute. You know, I'm sure there are people listening who are thinking, well, you know, what has a thought got to do with anything? What is, you know, how does the spirit world get through to us? How can they help us? And it's very simple because, first of all, let's talk about thoughts. Thoughts, and many people have heard me say this, thoughts are living things. A thought is a tiny pulse of energy which goes out into the universe. Our thoughts are tiny pulses of energy which go out into the universe. Mm. And in the same way, our loved ones in the spirit world will send, weirdly, how do they do it? You could call it telepathic, or you could whatever you want to say, but they send their thoughts as energy to us. And very often we receive those thoughts. Sometimes it'll be like something goes through your mind. You have a thought in your mind, like, don't wear those shoes. This is not a good idea to wear those shoes. You have this thought in your mind, and most people think that that thought just comes from what? You think it comes from nowhere. But one way the spirit world will communicate with us and tries to communicate with us is by sending their energy, those tiny pulses of energy, those thoughts that they have, to try to guide us and try to steer us. And had you paid attention and not worn those shoes, you probably would not be sitting here with a bruised face. Are we now going to have sympathy for you, or are we going to say, well, how dumb are you, because you know better?
I do know better.
But I do have sympathy for you, because we've all done things, we've all ignored those thoughts that go through our head. We've all of us, I think, sometimes we'll experience a feeling or a sense of, for instance, if you're driving, let's say you're driving in the car, this happened to me many times. You're driving the car, and for me, it's a little bit different because I have Grey Eagle. But for most people who don't know who it is who's communicating, who don't know to listen to that voice or that energy or that sense or that feeling that we have that comes over us, for most people, you might get in the car and you have this thought, turn left, don't turn right, turn left. Your intention is to turn right, but you have this thought in your head, oh, let me just go right. And if you ignore that feeling or that sense of, you know, maybe you should do this instead of that, if you ignore it, if you think, well, no, that's not the way I was going, you turn left, you can either come up against a traffic jam, or you can come up against an accident, or, you know, something is in your way. There's an obstacle in your way. Whereas had you listened to that thought and paid attention to that thought, you would have turned right, no obstacles. You would have been perfectly, you would have been fine. And it's the way that we need to pay attention. I'm going to ask you, Kay, if you have any other examples, and I have a few, I have so many, where you wouldn't think that I would be the one to ignore, which
No,
these
you wouldn't.
thoughts, and especially if Gradle is tapping me on the shoulder. And by the way, another way that we can tell that the spirit world is around us or trying to sort of guide us into a set, they're not telling us what to do, they're simply trying to guide us for good reasons. You might feel, you know, something in your hair, or you can literally feel somebody tapping you on the shoulder, and you look and then you tell yourself, don't be ridiculous, I'm just being ridiculous. But actually, when we pay attention to these things, it's not ridiculous to pay attention to these things. We need to pay attention to these things if we want the guidance of our loved ones in the spirit, which of course we do. And so also, I think that when we do pay attention, even if we think we're crazy, we pay attention on why am I driving? Why am I driving right? What am I doing this instead of that? Sometimes it's not about a warning that there's traffic jams or something. Sometimes it's like if you're walking down the street and you're going down the street, you've no intention of taking a right turn or a left turn, but something, that feeling, a sense of something inspires you to take that right turn when you really wanted to go straight ahead, and you take that right turn and something wonderful can happen. You can suddenly come across that friend you haven't seen in 5 years and, oh my gosh, what are you doing here? And it's a wonderful and a great surprise. So I think every time we pay attention, I think something good occurs or something bad is prevented.
Yes.
Every time we ignore our senses, our feeling, our sense of whatever's going on, that thought in the head, that sort of that thing that just flits across your mind and you don't know where it comes from, where did that come from? If you take too long wondering where it came from, you've missed it. You've done what you were going to do anyway, and that's when, you know, things happen. So I think what we have to do is to learn to pay attention, even if we don't know why we're paying attention. But when we have that sense of stuff going on, and when we have that feeling, or those feelings that we can't even account for, I think when we pay attention to them, I think that really great things can occur. And, you know, I can remember years and years ago being involved in something on the road. Some guy smashed into the side of my car. Not a good experience. My daughter she was a baby. She was laying in the back seat, and this guy, and it came out of nowhere, smashed into my car. And as I'm getting out of the car, I'm thinking, just stay calm. Just stay calm, stay calm. And it was an old guy who got out of the car. And he said to me, what do you think you were doing? The stay calm thing went out the window. What the heck are you talking about? You came out of the side street and hit me. You sideswiped me. But having all of that and dealing with all of that, and I had to take the car to the garage, so I was late going to where I was heading towards. But as I got towards where I was heading to, sort of about an hour or something later, there were cars everywhere, there were police cars everywhere, there were ambulances everywhere, there were people laid on the side of the road. Had I not had that minor incident, which didn't seem minor as I was going through it, but had I not had that minor incident, I would have definitely been right smack center in the middle of that huge accident. And I think that, you know, I totally know that whatever happens to me, I totally know that, for instance, when I broke my wrist, I totally know it could have been way worse. I mean, the spirit world can't prevent everything, and there are certain things we do have to go through in life, you know, but there are so many things that we are protected by. And there's so many times that the spirit world will guide us and steer us and protect us. And I often hear my daddy's voice, and sometimes I don't even hear him. I just sense him around me. And when you sense your loved ones around you, that's the time, if you can, if you're not too busy on your iPhone, if you're not too busy on your iPad, if you're not too busy playing games, if you're not too busy doing all that stuff that takes away our concentration and takes away what is really happening in this world of ours. If you get off your phone, for goodness sake, or stop watching TV all the time, or whatever it is, and pay more attention to what is going on around you from the spirit world and with the spirit world, I think we would all be so much better off, and we would all understand how clearly and well we are guided. Now, I'm going to ask you if you can recount a couple of instances, but before we do that, I'm going to let you think about it for a minute. Before we do that, I'd like to hear from Chris. Any questions or comments going on at the moment, Chris?
Judith was telling us a story. She says, I was making butter in the microwave. I was thinking it was my thought that bowl will break. I thought it was in my mind. The bowl broke into 2 pieces with a bang. I was being helped, but thought it was me.
Well, if you'd have listened, you might have been able to avoid the bowl breaking. By the way, I do have my friend Mary Lou here, and I don't know if you want to interrupt or if you've got anything to say as we're going along. She's sitting next to me. She does not want to be on camera, which is fine. But if you've got something to say or a comment or a question, let me know. Okay, just put your hand up like that.
Okay.
All right.
Hello.
So, yes. Say hello to Mary Lou. Anyway.
Hi,
yes,
Mary Lou.
Hello.
Chris.
All right. Then we have Judith also saying, I'll be careful to listen and heed from now on. Thank God and the angels you were spared that severe auto accident.
Well, yes. Well, keep going. Anyone else?
Not right now.
Commenting. Okay. We're looking for your comments. We're looking for your questions. If you've had an experience that you've had you like to share, and a hand has been raised. So let's hear from Mary Lou.
Well, when you were talking about, like driving the car and being caught in that accident, that didn't happen to me, but I was driving in St. Pete and visiting where I grew up.
St. Pete is in Florida,
Yeah,
by
sorry,
the way.
St.
Go ahead.
Petersburg.
No, go ahead.
In Florida, and went by the old house, went to where my dad worked. I was downtown where my mom would take the buses in Williams Park, which is a big to-do.
So you were having
I was reminiscing.
You were going down memory lane then.
Right.
Okay.
And after I went by the house where I grew up, I was heading back to the interstate, but I missed the main road to go to that. And I don't even know how I missed it. And I ended up going a few more blocks north of that turn. And I ended up, for some reason, turning left.
And you just felt that you should turn left. Yeah.
I passed a few more streets and I was like, I think I'll turn here, thinking this was all my idea.
Of course.
And I was going to do just a U-turn, turn around right there where I had room. And I thought, nope, I'll just go to the end of this road and just look at the bay. And as I did, I ended up at a retirement home where both my parents worked after they retired from their other jobs. And I was fascinated, actually, that I ended up there because my whole day was reminiscing about them. And I felt then that they directed me to go to that point. Like, you're
Absolutely.
not done reminiscing.
Yeah.
Don't forget this place.
Yeah.
And it was
That's
awesome.
nice, isn't it?
Yeah. Nice. It is
Yeah.
nice. And you
Nicely
felt,
wrapped up.
you felt that you were being guided there by the.
Then I knew it wasn't my idea.
I
Yeah.
know. But I mean,
Yeah.
you know, even if we do have good ideas sometimes, which is fine, but we also have to pay attention to those times when the spirit world is guiding us and helping us and, you know, really giving us a heads up as to, you know, what we might think about doing or what we should, you know, what we should be doing. For instance, the silliest thing is, you know, I can remember one time I clearly heard call the bank, and that was not a good situation. But I actually did it. Okay, I always tell people obey the 3-time rule. If you hear it once, maybe okay. If you hear it twice, pay attention. If you hear it a third time, really, you got to do something. And so the third time I heard call the bank, I actually called the bank and discovered that I was being embezzled. And
Ooh.
had I not called the bank then, everything would have
Oh my God.
gone, whereas only most of it went
Oh,
a
don't.
little bit. But anyway, but you know, so there
Oh.
are, and people say also, you know, well, why didn't my mother let me know, or why didn't my father warn me about this? And I always want to say, and why weren't you listening? Why
That's
weren't you
right.
paying attention? Because I'm sure they were trying to get through to you,
Yeah.
and you just simply were not present in that moment.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's have a story
Very,
from.
very quickly to make it snappy.
No, you don't have to make it snappy.
Well, it's quite a long one, but this was about 20 years ago. It was a summer day. It was June, July. I was in a good car. I was very happy. I was driving to uni. It was great. I got a great day ahead of me. I was on a large road and the speed limit was high, but I wasn't going too fast. And suddenly, as I'm trundling along, I hear somebody in my right ear say, slow right down. Big instruction. Sounded like my father's voice. So I thought, well, yeah, I'm going to listen. So I did slow right down. And as I slowed down, it was then a smaller road, and straight in front of me was a hairpin bend, a double bend, very, very sharp. And a white van came too fast around the bend, clipped the curb on my side of the road with his front wheels, flipped the van right over the top of my car and landed behind me on its wheels. And the young man that was driving catapulted through the back window, which had been open, and went out onto the side of the road. He was unharmed, shaken and a bit bruised, but unharmed. I pulled everybody stopped. There were cars behind us. Everybody stopped. And turns out that the boy had got bald tires on his car, and his father turned up because we phoned him and lambasted him and telling him he could have killed me. And I actually remember squatting down in the driving seat thinking, this is it. I am going to be sliced off. But no, it's good, all good. And I just drove off.
But had you not listened,
Had I not listened,
you'd have smashed right into that van
straight into
and
him.
been a goner.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, for me, life has been full of those moments.
Yes.
But I think people think it's because I'm psychic and I've got grey eagle and so on. But I think that for everyone, life is full of those moments. And we don't always give those moments credit, or we think, you know, they're our thoughts, like, for instance, the story Mary Lou just told. We don't realize just how carefully, how clearly, and how how much energy the spirit world will often use to help us, to steer us, to guide us,
It's
so that we
amazing.
can avoid the things that we're meant to avoid. And, you know, I mean, it obviously wasn't your time right then, but just because you weren't killed didn't mean that you couldn't have had many broken bones and cracks going all over it and had to deal with that. So I feel that we need to pay more attention. I say this to people all the time, and I wish people would listen. Get your earplugs out of your ears. Stop listening. You know, you see people, they're in a restaurant, they're with someone in a restaurant, they're not even talking to each other because they're so busy on their phones or playing a game or whatever it is people are doing. And I think, you know, in today's world with all of these, you know, the technology, all of this amazing technology, it's wonderful, but at the same time, we are missing the spiritual experience.
We're becoming desensitized, aren't we? We're losing
Teilhard de Chardin said, it was his quote, we are spiritual beings having a human
experience.
And I like to put my little quote next to his and add, we're spiritual beings having a human experience, and hopefully in a spiritual way. That's my bit, because, you know, what's the point of being a spiritual being having a human experience if we're completely unaware of the experience? And by, you know, putting our earplugs in, or by, I mean, Mary Lou, you'll bear me out in this, and Kay, you know me well enough. You walk into my house, I never have the radio on. Do I ever have music on?
No.
I don't have the radio on.
You're just singing.
I'm often singing, it's so true. But I mean, I don't have the TV on. I don't have the radio on. If I'm doing nothing at all, it's that I'm reading, but my ears are clear and I'm, you know, paying attention. And people say to me, why don't you have music on, or why don't you have the TV on? And I went to my neighbor's house yesterday, and the TV was on, and she was ironing away, and she, you know, I love my neighbors, they're fabulous. She's ironing away, she's got the TV on, and if I were ironing away, I would be doing other things also. I would be talking to Grail. I would be connecting with my daddy. I would be doing things that connected me to my spiritual self. I am aware of what is going on. I don't need the radio and TV to cloud what is going on here. And I really wish that people would understand that people think it's because it's me. I'm I'm the medium. I'm the one who does this, but it's there for every one of us. But if we're going to cloud our life with the noise and the bustle and the stuff that's on, which is mostly not important, we miss the opportunities to connect with our loved ones in the spirit world. And people always say to me all the time, well, how can I connect with my mum? What do I need to do? And blah, blah. And it's easy. Just stop listening to nonsense, sit quietly, get on with doing what you're doing. I mean, I can remember, I'm going to stop now. I'm going to let you talk because I feel as if I'm
I don't need to talk. You're good.
But I can remember I was in my probably very early 30s, 32, 33, something like that, right? And I was doing the laundry, and I was taking the laundry out of the washing machine and shoving it in the dryer. And I was on my knees doing this, you know, bending down, doing all of this, not thinking of anything at all. And as I'm shoving the stuff into the dryer, I hear this voice say, the 747 will crash.
Oh.
Yes. And
gosh, what did you do with that?
I didn't doubt it. because, you know, I'd heard it so clearly. But now I'm thinking, who do I call? Should I warn someone, or
What do you do with it?
should I call whoever it is you might call? And I didn't know what to do. So I actually didn't do anything. But within 2 hours, it was on the news. It was sort of later on in the evening.
Oh,
It was on the news. 745, Boeing 745 had crashed. And do you remember when the crash happened at Lockerbie? Can you remember the Lockerbie?
I do, definitely.
I don't know how many years back we're going now, but it's a long
time
back. And it was that. I had heard it very clearly. I had told a couple of my friends.
Yeah.
I was very nervous. Can I do something? If I warn somebody, can I prevent it? What can I do? But there are times when you hear things,
That was a shocker, wasn't it?
You know you just can't prevent it. But you know, so many things like that, and so many things that I've been able to help the police with, so on and so forth, all of those things. But if you're not listening, if you're not paying attention, if you're not aware, and I'm not talking about just listening with your ears, I'm talking about listening with every one of your senses. And if you're not listening, if you're not paying attention, you're not going to hear anything. So we can be spiritual beings having a human experience in a spiritual way, which is my way. That's what I want to do. Don't always succeed, but that's what I want to do. Or we can simply be spiritual beings having a human experience, completely unaware of our spiritual senses, completely unaware of the fact that we are souls here on this earth. We can be, you know, just going through life like robots. And I do have to say, I'm saying this last thing and then over to you.
But, no, you're fine.
But there are times when I walk down the street, if I'm in town, or if I'm in Walmart, for instance. I went to Walmart the other day. The amount of people who had earphones stuffed in,
not connected at all.
They were either talking to somebody on the phone so loudly that everybody could hear the conversation, or they were playing games, or they were doing whatever it is they were doing. And I do really sometimes go up and jerk the earphones out and say, can you listen to something that's more important? Can you become more aware of your surroundings, become more aware of the people who are around you, and particularly people in the spirit world? Can you be more aware? Yes.
Can I add to it when you're talking about that?
Yes.
That's huge with people who are not paying attention to their children or involved with what they're
doing. Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's.
And then you see the recognition in the kid's face that they're not being listened to, and then they switch off.
Yeah. Well, right.
It's like.
But I mean, also adding to that, let's not get too much into the kids. I want to go to the chat room to Chris, and then Kay, I want to go over to you. But what was I going to say? I forget what I was going to say, so it can't have been that important. But talking about kids, and you know, talking about kids connecting. A lot of parents, and believe you me, this is not a criticism in any way. I was a single parent. I know we're always looking for things to keep our kids busy with, because parenting is tough. It's hard. It's hard to pay attention all the time. I mean, I had my darling boy here for a week, and Mosey, mummy, so I get it in one way, but a lot of parents will use, you know, they'll get their kid an iPad or whatever it is, and or sit them in front of the TV, and they use these things as babysitting.
Yeah.
Which I get it, but it doesn't make it right. Just because I get it doesn't make it right.
No.
And I always had a rule: when Samantha asked a question, I would have to answer it. And I tell you, I lived with that, and it was tough when she was growing up, because she was a kid who always question, and we try to do the same with Reese. Right, let's go to the chat room. Chris, come on.
No, I'm just thinking that once you start doing that, the more you give, the more people expect. The more they expect, the more they get. The more you give, and that's when you're doing it right, isn't it?
Well,
I
we
guess.
hope so.
Hope so.
Hope so. I mean, Reese absolutely knows if there is any trouble, if he's having problems at school, if he's having problems with whatever's going on in his life, he absolutely knows that the one person he can come to talk about is me. And he does.
That's good.
Chris, let's go to the chat
That's
room.
good.
How are you doing there?
All right. Maggie says, before I got into an accident, I heard a very loud, "Look out."
Oh, yeah? And?
Did she?
That's all we have for that one.
Oh,
Oh,
Maggie, come on. Anyone else, Chris?
Yes. Lisa says, I just finished push mowing because I found a tiny turtle. I associate the turtle with my cousin Patrick, who passed in 2021.
Oh, nice.
He is always telling me to slow down. I was going to jump on the rider first, but it was still pinned to the pull cart. Well, after visiting the turtle, I decided not to, since I have never even driven it yet. So I came inside and turned on Facebook to catch up with Miss Rosemary, since I work all day Thursdays. The spirit must have been telling me I get to catch you live, knowing you are good for my soul.
Oh, darling, that's so nice. Thank you so much. Okay. Anything else, Chris, going on?
Judith says that Lockerbie was such a huge worldwide event, so much compassion and love worldwide. That's
Anyone
what you have.
else?
No?
Okay, Chris. Let's go to Kay. Kay.
hello. What are you
Yeah.
talking about?
Oh, anything you like. Anything you like.
How about when I didn't listen?
Oh, gosh. Yes. Go ahead then.
Very quickly.
I know.
It's a
What
recent
people have
one.
to understand listening to this is I know we've known each other for hundreds of years now.
Yeah.
And I know many of the scrapes that you've gotten yourself into because you didn't listen.
Yeah.
And I think
And you
it's
thought that was all behind me.
I did not really, no. But here's the thing with Kay, and this explains a lot of it. You are a fire sign, and so your emotions matter to you much more so perhaps than an earth sign. I think we keep our emotions more in check.
Yeah.
But a fire sign will often you'll be very spontaneous sometimes. And
I
even
exhaust myself.
you exhaust me sometimes too.
I know that.
No. So even when you get good advice, like you might have had good advice from me.
Oh, yeah. Regularly.
Yes.
In my face. Up there.
Right. And for whatever reason, you ignored that advice because you are a very strong person, and you can, because of this emotional stuff that that you're driven by your emotions sometimes, you can actually sort of do things because nobody's going to tell you what to do, or I'm going to do what I want to do, that sort of thing. And there have been times when you've had that really great advice.
Oh dear.
And you've done what you wanted to do, and inevitably those things have backfired on you. So you were going to, I think you had
this wasn't a heavy one. This was only a car incident.
Yes.
But it was dangerous and it scared me, and it was actually just what I needed to slap me in the face. I was I was coming back to the car with all the family. We'd been out in a play park in the middle of some wooded area. It was very relaxing, very nice. Parked the car on a slope on the grass verge at the side of the road. And as I'm walking back to the car, I put my hand in my pocket to get my car key out. And I open up the key on the little lever, ready to put in the lock. And I recognize that that's what I do when I'm on my own in the dark. I have my car key in my hand. And I heard a voice say, "Put that key away." Just like that.
And it
Put that
wasn't
key away.
we're talking, you heard a voice from the spirit world.
Yeah.
Yes.
Put that key away. And I actually remember saying to whoever it was, I think my father, "Well, I won't. It's my birthday. I'll do what I like."
Oh boy, you're asking for trouble.
Did I
Now,
ask
you
for
would
trouble?
think, now just let me say this before you continue the story. You would think, Kay has been my student for hundreds of years, at least 30, 40 years, I think, 40 years. You would think that of all of the people to have learned to pay attention, who have learned when they hear the voice to pay attention, you would think after 40 years of being with me, you would get it. So this is I'm just saying, for the people who are listening, I'm just saying that it's even I sometimes we're told to do something, or we're guided to do something, whatever, whether we hear or sense or feel, however, and we just don't want to do it. And
No, I just didn't want to do it.
No, I'm not doing it.
I just didn't
you're
see
right, but
the reasoning.
It's my way. So I'm just saying that for all those people who are kicking themselves thinking, "Oh gosh, I should have listened and I should have listened," just saying that if you can be around me for 40 years and you still don't listen when you know you should, I don't want people to be harsh on themselves. I don't want you to be harsh on yourself.
Oh, I don't need to be, because I know what happens when you don't listen.
So tell us what
So
happened.
basically, I walked across.
So you heard this voice. Okay, you took your keys out.
And it was definitely, it was a very strong, "Put that key away."
Right.
So I said in my head, "Well, I won't. It's my birthday. I'll do what I like." Da 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 da. So I carried on.
Go ahead. I'm waiting for it. When was this?
This was in November this year, last year.
This is recently, after
Recently.
40 years. After 40 years, this was recent.
Yes. One could say. One could say I am so ashamed of this, because honestly, I deserve to be really.
Can I just say I am just cracking up over this?
Oh yeah, you will be. Well, look, my daughter, who is the same soul energy as me, my middle daughter, was walking with me and we were chattering. She'd also been in the car with me when I parked up, chattering. And as we walked back to the car, I had the key in my hand. Now, I've never done this before. I'll never do it again. I opened the car, I leant over, I stuck the key in and I turned it.
What?
Why would you
You're not in the car yet?
I'm not even in the car yet. I'm just getting everything ready. I'm stepping ahead of myself.
And you heard that voice say, "Put that key away."
And as I turned it, the whole car jumped forward and started moving fast. It was on a slope. The handbrake wasn't on. The gear was in first.
Oh,
What? I've been driving for 40 odd years, more, 50 years. Never done anything as stupid. I was so scared. I thought, in a split second, I thought, no, it's no problem. I'm in it. I'm in it. And I grabbed hold of it. It pulled out of my hand and went ahead of me. In front of the car was my
You
son-in-law.
were on the ground outside of the car.
Outside the car, and I watched the car drive away on its own. And towards my son-in-law's very, very precious top of the range Beamer.
Whoops.
So Chloe, who's standing at the side of me, and this is all split seconds.
This is your
I
daughter.
screamed at her. She saw what happened. I screamed at her, get it, get it, get it. And within 3 seconds, she'd leapt into the car seat, pulled the handbrake on, knocked it out of gear, and everybody went, ooh.
Wow.
Oh my God.
You were lucky.
I was very, very lucky. Very lucky.
Yeah.
And the whole family gathering, because we'd just been to my birthday, the whole bank family gathering was watching, going, oh, that was close.
Can I ask you this? When you hear that voice again,
Oh yeah,
or you have that sense of knowing, what you're going to do? You're going to ignore it, or you're going to pay attention?
I'm going to stand very still and say, yes, please talk to me.
You're not going to do that, because I know you so well. You will do it, and then you'll do it again, and then you'll do it, and then you'll have this, no, I'm going to do what I want to do.
Oh God.
And this is the point. This is the point
Oh
that
God.
we're trying to get over to people. When you are hearing that voice, and in this case, it's your father's voice.
Oh, it was. Yeah.
Pardon?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. So when you know, whenever we hear or sense or feel that we should turn left instead of right, or whatever, or put the car keys away or whatever, and we don't do it and we ignore it, you can guarantee that if we ignore it, we regret it. We really do regret. And so it's easy, as I've said, it's easy for me because I have Gregor, and there he is, and he's, if
it's a wonder I don't phone you up every day and say, am I safe today? Have you got any tips? And I've often wanted to, but never really thought, no, that's pushing it a bit.
Well, Kay, there are people who would sit on my doorstep every day to do that. Let's be honest. But
I know.
I mean, we have to learn these things for ourselves. We have to understand that, I mean, I will often see my father, and if I'm saying something mean about someone, God forbid that I ever say anything mean about it, but yesterday talking about me. So I had this guy had some potting compost delivered, 4 bags, and they're heavy bags. So the guy pulled up, reversed back into the driveway. So I opened the door and I said to him, I'm so, pleased you're here. Can you please put them over here? And what is it, 2 yards away from where he was going to just dump them out of the car? And he moaned and he grumbled and I've got a bad back. And I just said, well, I've got a bad back and I'm older than you. So if you
Get on it.
That would be great. But he moaned and complained. You would have thought that I was asking him to dig the garden for me. And, all it was picking up 4 bags. And he was a young, strong guy.
Idle.
And I wasn't very nice to him. And I wasn't not nice to him, but I have moaned a bit about him and told that story as I'm telling this story now. So I'm not a nice person sometimes.
That's okay. I think that's okay.
But there are times when, I might be grousing about something, and all of a sudden I'll see my father looking at me like,
does he? Does he?
He doesn't judge. He never judges, but he just gives me a look.
Yeah, the eyebrows.
So then I think to myself, yeah, cut it out, Rosemary. Just cut it out. We can all be not nice sometimes anyway. Chris, how are we doing with the chat room here?
I love that.
Gary's on.
Who?
Gary.
Oh, good. Yeah. Oh, hi, Gary.
And he said, well,
Oh,
let's see, it
God.
just.
Oh, yeah.
He said, I'm always on my toes when I'm somewhere with Rosemary because you never know what's going to happen.
So true. So true.
Gary, could you explain that, please? I want an explanation for that comment. Any other comments or questions, Chris?
Well, Maggie finished her story after she'd heard the shout. She said, the accident happened, but I put my brakes on hard and wasn't hurt.
Oh, that was good then. So when you heard watch out, you put your brakes on, that was good. That was good. And I'm glad you paid attention to that. That's great. Anything else, Chris, going on?
Judith says, oh my goodness, Kay, it's a wonder you weren't injured. Listen, listen, listen. And then she also said, speaking of the man who delivered your potting soil, if he wanted a tip, he behaved poorly.
Well, he didn't get one. I can tell you now.
Don't blame you.
I mean, anyway, anyone else, Chris? Anything else going on?
I don't think so.
I'm sitting here thinking, gosh, what have I done today? Have I done something wrong today? Did I hear something? Did I miss something?
Well, I mean, this is why, you walk into, people are often amazed when they walk into my house because, I never have the radio on.
No.
I will, on a rare occasion, I'll put on Phantom of the Opera music because I like to sing to that and I belt it out. But not that often. Most of my days are spent. The house is very quiet. I'm lucky I live in an area where, there's nothing around. There's no noise. There's no traffic. There's nothing. So I feel very blessed with that. But why would I want to be listening continually to, a lot of people have background noise, don't they? They call it background noise because they don't want to be on their own and they feel less lonely or what have you. I never feel lonely because I'm very aware that the spirit world is all around us. And so, I've always got someone I can chat to if I feel like it, or if they feel like chatting to me. I mean, very often before a consultation, or perhaps even sometimes the night before a consultation, this happened this week, a lady, I was having a consultation with this one particular lady, and this was her first time. I didn't know what she wanted or anything. And it was several hours before I had the consultation that I see a woman in the spirit world who says, oh, you're going to be talking to my daughter tomorrow, right? Really? Yeah, you're going to be talking to my daughter. And then the next morning, there she was again. I mean, if I'd got the radio on and or the TV or this, I would have missed that completely, totally, and absolutely. I would have missed it. And a few weeks ago, I had this gorgeous, darling little girl, dressed in a little fairy costume, and she was just, she was all dressed up and looking really pretty. And about 2 or 3 hours before I was due to speak with her parents, I was in the kitchen, I was getting breakfast, I was just, doing what I was spraying toast or whatever, and I caught this little glimpse movement out of the corner of my eye, and I turned and there she was. And I just said, hello, who are you? And she said, you're going to talk to my mummy and daddy today. I said, I am. Are you going to be there? Are you going to talk to me? Yes. She was about maybe 5 years old or something, 4 or 5 years old. I said, you're going to talk to me? You're going to talk to your mummy and daddy? Yes. And I'm excited.
Oh.
Imagine had I had the radio on or the TV on, I would have missed that.
Yeah.
And it doesn't just happen to me. if we're all paying attention, it can happen to all of us. It can happen to any one of us, that we might catch a glimpse of something. And very often, you know, I was so, a couple of weeks ago, I think it was when I came back from New York, and I'd been with Reese's puppy through the day while he was at school, and I came back. As I walked in the door, there was nobody to greet me. There was like empty house. And for this split second, I'm thinking, I should get a dog. And then I'll slap myself across the face and said, don't be ridiculous. I'm far too old to have a dog. If I had a dog now, I mean, who's going to take care of the dog when I die? But for that split second, I'm you know, sort of not having a dog, and within less than a half an hour later, sort of moved in, and I got in, sat down, and there were my puppies. I had Kachuro, I had Feather, I had Nino, I had Atlas, I had Minter, and on it goes. And there they were. So if I'd walked in and put the TV on for noise, or the radio on for noise, as background noise, so I didn't feel so lonely, or, you know, if I'd have put a movie on, the dog show or something like that, which, you know, if we're all inclined to do those things, but just think what I'd have missed. So it frustrates me, and I want to educate people about it, but I don't know how to get it through to people that because very often we're a society of, if it doesn't happen now, let's move to the next thing. And if that doesn't happen, you know, and I said yesterday, I think on the show yesterday, America is the home of the self-help book. Americans sell more how-to books than any other country in the world, and I think probably England's a close second. Everybody wants to know how to do something, but they don't want to know how to do something that's going to take time and patience. They want to know how to do it now. And if you can't be told how to do it now, they'll move on to the next book and the next book, or they'll Google, or they'll, you know, how to do this or how to do that. Everybody wants the quick fix. And this that we're talking about, connecting with the spirit world, connecting with our loved ones. Who doesn't want to talk to their mum or the dad in the spirit world? That, you know, I'm thinking, sorry, me.
I know you.
Who doesn't want to talk? Always my daddy, always. But who doesn't want to have the opportunity to talk to their loved ones in the spirit world, people who they miss? But yet people just don't give themselves the opportunity or the chance. You know, you say, well, meditate or spend 10 minutes every day, and they might spend 10 minutes every day for 3 or 4 days or a week, and nothing's happening. That's not how it works. You have to be patient, and you have to give it time. And what is 10 minutes out of your day every day for the rest of your life? And it's frustrating to me, because I see how people become so lonely and they become so depressed, or they're you know, missing out on so much. They miss their mother or their father, and they really want to make a connection, but yet they're impatient to do it, or they don't listen, or perhaps they don't even know how to listen.
I was going to say, do you really think that a lot of people just can't quite understand about the connections and how to connect, and about energy and thought and light and color? And it's such a tenuous thing in our minds. It's a tenuous thing. Possibly isn't.
Well, it isn't a tenuous thing.
No.
It's available.
Yes.
It's there in front of us, and it's available. But we have to recognize, first of all, we have to understand about energy.
Yes.
We have to understand about, you know, thought, pulses of energy, pulses of energy, thought energy, the things that we sense, the things that we feel. When I say to people, listen, This is great, the rainbow song. How many times have we sung the rainbow song?
Yeah.
Listen with your eyes, listen with your eyes. How do you listen with your eyes? Very simply. You're listening with the eyes of your spirit, of your soul. You're not listening with these eyes. You know, talking about when somebody has one of their five senses taken away, if they're blind or they're deaf or whatever, they become so much more attuned in other ways. And this is what we have to learn. You don't just listen. You don't just listen with your eyes. Your eyes can't talk to you, or can they? And of course they do, because what you're seeing, what you're experiencing, and what you're hearing, and what you're sensing, and the feelings that we have. You know, the feeling of the hackles rising on your neck when something's happening, or very often something strange is happening, you get tingles in your fingers or your hands and so on. There are ways to communicate, and I think we just simply have to be open to it, and we have to show people, listen with your eyes and sing everything you see.
And the building up of that, and the learning and the discipline and the daily routine, that's all part of it, isn't it?
Well, just mention, I think we've still got a little bit of time, just mention, I mean, you've been a student for 40 years. That's a long time to be a student. It's a long time to put up with me, because I'm tough, as you know.
I think,
as you know, I
don't think it's like that, is it, really? I mean, it's not really about that.
What
it
is
isn't about putting up. It isn't about putting up with somebody, is it? It's choices. We have choices.
Yeah. There are many people have walked out of my house saying, I'm never going to come back.
Well, I think I've done it. Yeah.
That's it. She can't talk
That's
to me.
it. Well, yeah.
So why do you come back? Why do people come back? What did you, well, I don't know. I was going to say, if there's one thing in the 40 years that you've learned, but I'm not sure that that's a fair question, because there've got to be so
Don't be mean.
I'm going to be mean. So can you tell us some of the things that you gained from being a student?
Oh, my goodness me. The ability to be honest with myself, and not to be embarrassed about being a really pretty dense human being at times, because of stubbornness and ego and willfulness, and not wanting to listen to somebody telling me something that I might not want to do. And it whether it's a characteristic of me or many people,
I think
we
it's
want
many people.
we want to be able to be independent and run our own lives. And it's not even about that. It's not about running your own life. It's about, because everything that we do, see, feel, touch, sense is all meshed together. So there are none of us independent. We're none of us going to make our own decisions, because all the decisions are already made and they're all being ready to be explored. So I do get and understand how frustrating it must be to listen to people like me who have got it all there. And the fact that somebody, my father or whoever it was, will come to me and say, put that back, let that go, do not touch that key. How much energy does it take for one person to send that message to me and then to watch me make a mess of it?
I'll do what I like. It's my birthday.
I'll do what I like. It's my birthday. You little shit. And that is my grandson sometimes, and that can be my daughter sometimes. And of course, because everyone's human, but I can't even remember
let me ask, who are you? Let me ask Mary Lou, just kidding. Let me ask Mary Lou. I mean, I don't know how long we've known each other, but is there one being around, because Gary's right. You never know when you're around me, you really don't ever know at any given moment.
No.
We could
That's
be
right.
just going out for breakfast,
Right.
or we could be going for a ride somewhere, or we could be just going to the beach, or we could just be.
Everything's an adventure.
You never know.
Mm.
And very often nothing particular happens, but you never know
No.
when
Heads
so,
up. Heads up.
so
Right.
can you think of anything you'd like to share?
That's happened when we've been out.
Sure, yeah.
Like messages you've given.
Anything.
And, oh my gosh, there's so many.
Yeah. Yeah.
Probably there's still times where you'll say, here's where you need to turn to go park, and I still say, well, I don't see anything down there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, she doesn't. Oh.
I'll say to her, if you just go up there, there's something on the left. No, well, I don't see anything. And she'll go and do her own thing. And then, we get out of the car and there is the exact spot.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing.
Well,
And Rosemary will go, I don't know why you don't listen to what I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Stubborn. Stubborn.
Anyway, let's go back to the chat room, Chris, I don't know, how are we doing for time here?
You're over.
Oh, well,
But you know what? This is cracking up. It ends when it ends, right?
Oh, yeah.
Gary answered your question.
Oh, God.
He
Oh,
said,
no.
Because this was about him having to pay attention when he's with you. He says, like a waiter comes over to our table and Rosemary says, there's a man standing behind you. And I say to myself, here we go.
That's right. That's right.
You both experienced that, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
You can't ever get enough of that. Are you kidding me?
It's
It's
true.
great. It's
You
great.
had happened to you, right?
You're right, Chris.
Oh.
Totally agree with that.
Yeah.
Mm.
Maggie writes, my dad would scratch his head if something happened when driving. The other day, someone cut me off and I found myself scratching the top of my head. I said, hi, Dad.
Good for you.
That's good. That's
Judith
good.
says, I always learn or relearn something. Thank you, Rosemary and Kay and Gray Eagle. Wonderful cracking up.
Mhm.
Well, we've had a blast, and we've laughed, which is what cracking up is all about.
Yes.
Because in England, if you say I'm cracking up, it means you're laughing. It means you're having a good time and you're laughing and you're enjoying, right? Have you enjoyed it, Mary Lou, today?
Yes.
Have you laughed?
I have.
Well, I am thinking to myself, I'm 69. I have got to get my act together at some point.
Are you 69 this year or are you 70?
No, I'm 70 this year.
Right. Okay.
So I'm going to try and be more tolerant and listen and behave myself.
You won't do it. I love you to pieces.
Yeah, but I've really got to try.
Of
And
course you have to try. You know,
I think I like living on my own because I don't have to try with anybody else.
you can do as you please. You know what I want on my tombstone, right?
Yes.
She tried, then she died. And all we can do in life is to try. That's
As
all
long as we
can
learn.
do. To try to be better, try to be kinder, to try to be nicer. And most importantly of all, we need to try to have fun because
Yes.
life is so serious and there are so many
I
complications
know.
to life and we all struggle with stuff.
Yes.
But trying to have fun and trying to find joy in your life is so important, I think, for all of
Yes.
us. Having said that, yes.
Can I ask one question?
Yeah, we're about to
I know,
end, but
I know.
yes, of course.
So on the back of my door in my bedroom, I have hanging which has my shoes in it and stuff. They've never fallen out. Never.
Right.
Except yesterday and the day before. One shoe from two different areas have
Oh,
fallen out.
that's nice. I like that.
And
now I wanted to ask you what the heck.
we'll talk about it
Okay,
later.
fine.
Or not. I don't know. Be careful where you're walking, I would say. You know what? Actually, if two shoes have dropped, they have a saying in America, What is it?
I don't know.
They're waiting for the other shoe to drop,
Oh, geez.
which means that they're waiting for the problem. Like something's going really, really good. They're waiting for the other shoe to drop, which means it could be bad. But you did have a bit of bad
maybe
news.
on a positive note.
Pardon?
Have you got 3 shoes?
She's got lots of shoes. Anyway, that's it. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Chris, for all that you do. I'd like to say thank you, of course, to Grey Eagle.
Thank you.
Of course, Kay, I shall see you in a few weeks because we're doing this every month, every Friday, once a month, every Friday night. And
You'll see a reformed character.
I'm not sure I like the idea of that because then you won't be my Kay. To be reformed. I just want you to be.
You won't recognise me. Actually,
Yeah.
what will happen is you will.
Well, let's hope the bruise will have gone, and then we might recognise you better. All right. So thank you everybody for joining us, and thanks special thanks to Kay. We've had fun. We hope you've had fun. So until next time, everyone. Please. Well, next time will be. Next Thursday, we'll be doing our show, The Spirit World Sees All. Until such a time, please, everybody, excuse me, have a very blessed rest of the day or night, whatever it is for you, and have a very blessed